This is going to be a pumpkin French toast casserole, and I think your family's going to go nuts over it. It's one of those make-ahead recipes too. So we're starting out with a loaf of French bread. This is a really big loaf, so I'm not sure if we're going to need all of it. And we love our Ergo Chef knives. See, cutting these bread into chunks, it's just a breeze. This is a great way to use day-old bread. So let's say you pick up a nice French baguette and you use it one night, you know, for dinner, and you've still got some leftovers. This would be great to turn it into this. I'm doing this in one big casserole, but it's very much on trend to do little mini casseroles and pick up those ramekins so that you can, you know, everybody gets their own. So that would be a fun thing to do too. So I'm just chunking up the bread. This is one of those make-aheads. So you can throw this together Saturday, and then after church, throw this in the oven, and breakfast is done. People are going to go crazy over this. So it's one of those that really should sit overnight or at least a few hours. So I'm spraying my casserole dish with cooking spray, and I'm going to take these bread cubes and just throw them, doesn't have to be any fancy way, in the bottom of my dish. We'll do a little bit more bread. And then we're going to get to work on the custard part of this recipe. Here, Ann, you can have half a loaf of bread to gnaw on there.
Bread and water.
Okay. I think I finally recovered from what Ireland School calls Fall Fest. Most schools call it homecoming. She had, being a freshman, it was her first big high school dance on Saturday night, and it took all day Saturday to get ready for it. If you have a girl, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of gone a little crazy if you ask me, but anyway. Got some great pictures, so I guess that's what it's all about, and some great memories, and she had a lot of fun. So now hopefully it's at least a few more months to the next dance, because I'm going to need that to recover. Okay, so we got our bread cubes in our dish. I guess we don't need the cutting board anymore, so there you go, Ann. Now we're going to work on the custard. And the custard starts with 6 eggs. Chef Ken is in the house this morning. Hey, Ken. Waiting in the wings here. He's going to make some fun breakfast recipes too. We're doing a baked pancake and breakfast burritos, which are really nice for breakfast on the go. I love breakfast burritos. Plus caramel apple waffles. Is that what we're making, Michelle? Oh, so we are jam-packed full of breakfast recipes, and later a cornbread strata. I promised you some new ones, some new fun ones. And we're going to deliver them today. So in goes 6 eggs. I'm just going to start whisking those together. Half of a cup of sugar. I was asking Ann about the sugar this morning, and she thought I called her sugar. No, Ann, even though I love you, I was just talking about the sugar for the recipe. Okay, now we've got 2½ cups of our Lamers, which we love. Best milk ever, award-winning, first place milk. So 2½ cups, just kind of eyeball it. There you go, that looks about right. We have not gotten our pumpkins yet, though, this year. So that's something I'm a little bit behind on. Got to get busy on that. The weather's been so nice, it's just been kind of savoring up every little bit of summer. 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, a little bit of vanilla. We're going to kind of eyeball it. Teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to use about half of a can or 1 cup of canned pumpkin. You don't want to get the pumpkin pie filling because that's got the sugar and all that other stuff in it. Just want the canned pumpkin. We already put our sugar in here. And this is, you know, we added some sugar, but it's not going to be real sweet. You can certainly serve this with syrup if you'd like to. You don't have to if you don't want to. So in goes our pumpkin pie filling. About a cup of it. Again, I'm going to eyeball it. That other half of a can, you can use that and make those cheesecake pumpkin trifles I made yesterday. Makes it a really pretty orange custard, doesn't it? Isn't that gorgeous? And the French toast bake is going to be really pretty too. So that nice fall color. Basically, this goes over the bread cubes. Cover this with plastic wrap, park it in the fridge, and it needs to sit for at least a few hours for those bread cubes to soak up the custard, or better yet, overnight. So I just usually use my hands to make sure that they're all in there. It's kind of almost going to be like a bread pudding, but not quite as sweet. Okay, so this is in the fridge now, hanging out, doing its thing, and it's now in the morning. You're getting ready to bake this, and you're going to make a quick streusel topping with a half of a cup of cold butter, cut into cubes, half of a cup of brown sugar, half of a cup of flour, teaspoon of cinnamon, pinch of salt. So this is our streusel topping. If you didn't want to hassle with this in the morning, you could have it already done in another container in the fridge, already done for you. But this is pretty quick. If you have, this is that time of year where there's lots of potlucks, morning brunches and things like that. Sometimes in this, would be a nice thing to bring. You could do it in a foil pan so that you wouldn't have to worry about bringing the pan home. I always say brunch is such a great way to entertain, and the holidays get busy, so a fall brunch would be a really nice idea. Brunches are great because they're inexpensive, unlike, you know, full-on dinner parties, which can get a little pricey. You don't need to do a full bar or anything like that. You can just have coffee, juice, maybe a mimosa if you wanted to splurge. But also, people leave after a while, unlike late-night parties, which tend to go late, or dinner parties, which, you know, these people usually have someplace to go. So you have them over for brunch, people are there an hour and a half or two, and then they're gone. So it is a great way to entertain, and if you're just starting to entertain, have people over, you're a little nervous about it, I would start with a brunch. Okay.
I would be there till supper.
Anne would just stay. Anne says, yeah, she'd be there until dinner. That's all right, we love you, Anne. Okay, so then goes our streusel topping over the top. And this is right before baking, so you'll remove this from the fridge, take off the plastic wrap, get it in. We've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees. Optional are some pecans. If you want to throw pecans on there, you certainly can. If the family doesn't do nuts, you can leave them out. Our family's a little nuts, so we'll put them on. No, I love pecans. Or you could do half. It's up to you. Pretty pretty. And then I like to bake this covered for a good half hour to 40 minutes so that the top doesn't get too brown. Then uncover it and bake it until that custard is set, another 15-20 minutes or so. One of the things is that this takes a while to bake. We've got a lot of custard in there, so it's, you know, allow plenty of time to bake. A good, like I say, hour or so. You don't want everyone hanging out at the breakfast table starving to death and that casserole still in the oven. Also, it's one of those that casseroles that really is nice to let it rest for a little bit when you pull it out of the oven, and that way you can slice it into squares a little bit easier. So allow a good hour bake time and 10 minutes or so of resting time before you slice it. So keep that in mind if you are going to be serving this. Okay, so come back with me. Super excited about this recipe. Oh, it's so pretty. I know, and it puffs all up, and it's just fantastic. That's all I can say. Serve this with some warm apple cider, and yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Really no syrup needed, but warm real maple syrup is always a great thing to serve with it, along with it. Maybe a little bit of fresh whipped cream would be great to go with it, but there you go. It's my pumpkin French toast bake casserole. You can get the recipe on our website.